Toku Secrets is a podcast run by the Anime Secrets website. Check us out at animesecrets.org for more anime, video game, tokusatsu content. Remember to follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts today.
Hey everybody, it's Jason from Power Rangers Time Force, and you're watching Toku Secrets Podcast.
Tokusatsu, taking the form of many shows including Super Sentai, Kamen Rider, and Metal Heroes. And today, a group of fans come together to review it for you as Toku Secrets.
Hey guys, and welcome to the Toku Secrets Podcast presented by animesecrets.org. I'm your host, Nathan Desa, Oak and Silver.
Patrick Island, Shinken Red.
Rizwan Merchant, Gokai Red.
Anthony Davis, Kyoyu Green.
And today we are doing a very quick podcast. This is our new format for King-Ohger. Now that we, since we've gotten most of the episodes out of the way, we're going to be doing separate podcasts, very quick ones for all the remaining episodes. So in this case, we're doing episode 27, The Space Bug King Arrives. Just a quick one. This is the official beginning of the second half of King-Ohger with the time skip. We went over that very extensively in our previous podcast. So to give a brief recap of what happened last time in that little string of episodes that we reviewed last time. So King-Ohger's gained the ability to transform the Shugodam Castle into its mech form, King Cassis Kabuto. They discovered a plan from Desnarak, who was the leader of the Bugnarok, to destroy their planet in order to clear the name of the Bugnarok. Jeremy revealed that he was a distant relative of Desnarak, and he faced him in a one-on-one battle. Then Kame Jim, kind of out of nowhere, revealed that he's behind the rift between humans and Bugnarok, and Desnarak was killed by Kame Jim, and then the King-Ohgers defeated Kame Jim, and now a new kingdom has been created, the Bugnarok Kingdom, with Jeremy as the ruler. So the first episode, the first part of this episode, 27, pretty much recaps all of that, and then we fast forward 2 years later. In the Bugnarok Kingdom, Kame Jim, who is now alive again, I'm not really sure how that works, although then again it looked like they killed Desnarak at one point and then he was alive again, so maybe that's just how some of these Bugnarok people are, but he's standing over him, declaring that the king of the universe is coming. Gira is preparing a peace conference, and it's revealed that the other four kingdoms are being ruled by the aides of the King-Ohgers. So Ishibana is being ruled by Himeno's butler, Sebastian, and Kosopa is being ruled by Shiokara, Tofu by Kuroda, and Gokhan by Morphonia. The other King-Ohgers were apparently imprisoned for crimes, and the end of the episode reveals the crimes in a bit more of a comedic touch, which... Yeah.
Rita's was my favorite.
Rita had the best one.
Exactly.
I just wanted a vacation, man.
I just want a vacation.
Yeah. But then, unfortunately, when the peace conference is happening, the planet gets swarmed by a bunch of Sime-Shu gods, and a figure appears. This is the person who Kame Jim was hyping up. His name is Dog Dead. He apparently is part of a different organization that they're going to be calling the Galacta Insect, which is pretty cool, by the way. And the Dog Dead, he reveals to Gira that he's traveled to like many planets and he's destroyed. Although he doesn't call them destroyed, he calls them like cleaning up the planets. Mm-hmm. And how does he do this? Well, what he does is actually pretty screwed up. He instigates race wars on planets. Like he pits races of the planet's people against each other and then has the worlds destroy each other. That is just completely screwed up.
Well, we got our explanation as to what happened.
Well, at least now we know why they're fighting each other and the Bugnarks and the humans are going at it.
Yeah. And the thing is, Kame Jim is apparently one of his lackeys here because we see him among like the generals. I guess these are going to be his generals now. So maybe that kind of gives a little bit of an explanation on what Kame Jim was doing, although hopefully they'll go more in depth with that a little bit later. But so Dog Dead, he demands that Gira kill the Bugnarok because if he does, then he'll let humanity live. But Gira refuses, and then Dog Dead is all like, okay, well then I'll just destroy humanity. And it's revealed that like all the other kingdoms are being attacked by his jesters, his generals. So we have Kame Jim, of course, and then there's these 3 other ones. Goma, Hirubiru, and Minongan. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing those names. And why does Dog Dead do all this? I mean, Gira asks him that. Well, in a way, I mean, he's kind of like Long from Geki Ranger. He just wants to destroy worlds because he loves doing it, because it's fun. He's bored and he wants to destroy worlds because he views the universe is his game board and living things are his game pieces. So,
I mean, do you really need a big reason to want to destroy the universe?
Yeah.
You're evil.
And then, so Gira refuses, and he and Jeremy fight off Dog Dead. The other 4 King-Ohgers, they escaped prison, and they all have and they all look pretty different. Like Yanma's bleached his hair. The other ones haven't really changed that much, but
they really haven't.
But they escape prison and they return to their kingdoms. They fight off the jesters, and the episode ends with Dog Dead and the 4 jesters retreating. And Dog Dead is all like, "Well, the King-Ohgers, they're fighting against us. It just makes the game more fun." And that's how the episode ends. So, what did we all think about this episode, guys? Anybody want to start off?
I'll start off.
Okay, go ahead.
This was a very interesting introduction to this new villain. I like the fact that this villain is very flamboyant when it comes to his destruction. He's just like, oh, I don't really care about these planets. It's like toys to me, honestly. I'm just like, the king of the universe, basically. That's what his mindset was. And he's so charismatic and free about it. He just doesn't care. And it just shows you that he is definitely he is a first introduction in this first episode of him doing all this contrasts how much better we would have had if Desnarok had this type of personality. You see what I mean?
Yep.
Like we were giving Desnarok so much heat for not being, a better villain, but now we have this. I guess in a way, the audience is like, hey, like the Desnarok weren't really good villains. Here now we're getting an actual good villain.
Yeah, I think that's a good step forward, and I mean that's what we talked about before. Is that this season is suffering from a villain problem, and I'm not going to go off and say that this makes up for all of that, but it's at least the first right step in that direction to fix it.
Well, I would say this is a benefit of hindsight now, is that the first half is still the fault of these guys, but we just never saw them until now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's probably one of those. I feel like it works because you've already seen the kind of damage and chaos this guy can do, even though he wasn't around for half the season. But he definitely left a good first impression with how he basically was immortal. Like they couldn't scratch him. He was able to teleport Gira to other planets and showcase that his lair was almost like a pocket dimension or something. Like this guy could be in the running for strongest Sentai enemy, and I don't know how they could realistically beat him given what they've established with this guy already.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm also thinking about how this guy could also be impacting our other Sentai teams across the universe.
Maybe that's where Kyoryu Red comes in. That's probably where Kyoryu Red comes into play, because who knows if like the Go-Kaisers or anything have had their paths crossed with these guys. We don't know.
I mean, it's possible that's the Gokaiser's dead because everyone loves the Gokaiser team, you know?
But the only thing that really kind of bothers me about this is that it feels like it's a big step up in terms of scale. Like, this was a pretty, like, grounded, kind of confined within its own world thing, and now all of a sudden we're getting, like, reality-bending enemies. Doesn't that seem like you kind of escalated things a little bit too fast?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, okay, so I feel like only Anthony will get this reference. I'm hoping Anthony gets the reference at the very least. But Gurren Lagann did something very similar where we thought we had this one anime villain who had this level of power and this many things, but by the end of the second half, like when they start doing more crazy stuff, they end with throwing universes like shurikens around. Like, screw these universes, now they're just my weapons to throw at the enemy.
This is true.
Yeah, I don't.
So it could be something like that as well, where the power levels, if you may, might increase and go up more, you know?
I don't know if I'd be a fan of that.
Yeah, I mean, I hope they don't do it, but I have seen it happen before in different Japanese media.
Yeah, but Sentai is a show that, well, even like Kamen Rider, you can include that in there, doesn't really do like insane power scaling. It's usually pretty, limited in what they'll let characters get away with. And if you take that limiter off, I think it'll kind of put the series in a position that it really shouldn't be in.
Yeah.
Well, Kamen Rider, as someone who's watched a lot of Kamen Rider, it happens a lot where like characters will be able to do things that will just be OP as F, but it's like but it makes sense in that universe if that helps.
But in Sentai it doesn't.
Yeah.
Which is kind of where my concern is with this guy. Because he's seemingly immortal. So how do you beat someone who's immortal without overblowing somebody?
Yeah. Because what's really crazy though, he reminds me of a certain Kamen Rider villain, which if we ever get a chance to watch Bill, I highly recommend it. It's really good.
Mm-hmm.
He reminds me of him, but when we ever get to that point, I'll be like, okay, though, not necessarily the same character, but like he has a grand ability where he can just like kill a lot of people instantly, just like that.
Yeah.
Like dimensions and all that. Yeah.
It's probably my biggest concern just based off this first episode, but I think the writers have given me enough good stuff for me to trust where they're going with this.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to let us down because they've had 26 episodes to do it already.
Yeah.
And they've done immortal villains before and they did Long from Geki Ranger, and I think they did the what was his name? It was Master of Vile's counterpart in Kaku Ranger.
A Daimao.
Daimao.
Yeah, Daimao. Yeah. Where they did have, like sealing attacks and stuff where they put them away and everything. But I don't think any of them were on like this level because this guy almost feels like he's a reality warper in some ways.
Yeah.
Where it feels because he kind of established that he could blow up their planet at the flick of that snap of a finger. What's going to stop him from doing that other than just, and if he ever chooses to do that, how are they going to stop it? So that's kind of, you see where
I think what it is
because
that
Long and Daimao were never that powerful.
This character to me feels like he's in it for the long game. He's I guess he was bored with all the destruction and all that stuff, the plans easily and just making people fight each other. Now he has not necessarily like a challenge per se for him for now, but I feel like he may want one because he could easily, like you said, Patrick, he could have easily just wiped them all out instantly, just like that. But he's choosing not to because he's bored. He wants somebody to be like, hey, like let me challenge you, let me fight you, and he expected. I'm guessing from my perspective while I'm watching this, I feel like but he was on the Gira. He was hoping Gira would be like, okay, fine, we'll do what you ask. We'll obey your every command. We'll fight. Because I'm pretty sure if Rackless was still king and this had happened to him, he would have definitely had done what he wanted.
100%.
Bar none.
Yeah.
Not even
It's
a
just
question,
that-
man.
It's just that villains like this are very easy to screw up when it comes to how you get rid of them. And the first one that comes to mind for me, for all you who are familiar with Dragon Ball, is Zamasu.
Oh,
They botched how they killed that guy.
Yeah, twice
And
in the manga and
it's-
anime.
Yeah. Oh my god, we finally killed him. Well, guess what? He just became the atmosphere. What the heck? How did you-
Cloud Samasu.
Yeah, so they got to be careful with this, but I trust them until they screw up.
Well, until they screw up, right?
Until they screw up, yeah. But
Right.
I would say one thing I want to say about Doc, that this is the only thing that I find to be a downside, and I really hate how Sentai's not doing this as much as they used to. With how much this guy is motivated and with his motivations and like his personality and everything, like I feel like he should have a human form and like he transforms into a monster form, because enemies with human forms are usually a lot more interesting. I mean, we just we just did Shinkenger a little while ago. Juzo Fuwa was a great villain. You know, we did Gokaiger. Bosco was the best villain in Gokaiger. He had a human form.
Bosco and him are basically in the top 3 best villains of all time.
And
there are Radiguet and Rio were pretty good.
Yeah,
Rio's good, but I still think those 3 are way better in my opinion.
And I wish that they like. And I'm glad that they're giving us.
Have anything good.
I'm glad that they're giving us some more interesting villain with like a motivation. But like the last time I remember a villain having a human form like regularly, and maybe Anthony could confirm. Maybe Anthony could like debunk this. But the last villain I remember was Zed from Tokyuger, like as a regular human form. And there's a handful of villains that I feel like could have worked with a human form. Okay, I haven't seen Ninja all the way through, but I do know that what's her name? She's called Madame Odious. And
what's her?
I think it's called QAmon.
QAmon.
She apparently has like a history with like the Ninja's grandpa. Like that's a villain that should have a human form.
You would think, right?
And to call attention to a Sentai that I hate, Goseiger, your main villain Brajira, that's Brock's counterpart for those who know Megaforce only. He was a villain that was begging for a human form.
No matter of fact, canonically he would have a human form because he was. Well, are we okay with small spoilers here? Just FYI.
I'm probably never gonna watch Goseiger, so go for it.
Yeah.
So it turns out Brajira was a Gosei angel. And he got that form because he kept overusing the power so much. And it corrupted him in a way. So he basically is like a fallen angel, basically. So he would have had a human form. But they just said, nah, we're not going to give him a human. He has a human form, but it hasn't been shown. It's just kind of like a silhouette type of thing. Like, I got to turn to this.
So wait, Brajira was Lucifer?
Basically, yeah. He had a human form, but it just wasn't shown. Like,
what is up with Sentai's doing very obvious biblical references with their villains and being terrible?
I don't know, man.
Well, dude, welcome to Sentai.
Because when you see in Super Megaforce with what's his name? Why am I blanking on his name? Vrock.
We have Rock.
He was like, he had like angel wings, and he was able to use the different powers of the Ghost Sagers or whatever. That's why.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, my main point, like maybe Dog Dead could be like one of those main villains that is interesting despite not having a human form. Because there are some villains that are like that. Like Gray doesn't have a human form, and he's an amazing villain. But I don't
He's
know.
the exception. She's the exception, though.
Human form does not necessarily mean a better villain, but it does add a level of interest that we don't get any other way for like a Sentai.
Like if you made Bosco the exact same villain, but he only appeared in his monster form, would Bosco be nearly as
no? He would not have been as interesting.
No. And you know what I know was really interesting about Bosco's character is that like when they were showing like the screenshots of like his character and all that, they actually omitted his monster form at all on the screen in the screenshots. Like nobody knew he had this form until they saw the episode.
Yeah. I think that's the way you do it, honestly.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because even when I watched it, I was like, "Oh, he could do that?" But hold on, hold on, wait a minute.
But
when could you do this?
But despite that, this villain Dog Dead, like he's still. I mean, if the writers do well, which I think they will, maybe they could flesh him out and make him an even more interesting version of Long from Geki Ranger.
Yeah.
You know what? I just remember something. Kira Major had a humanoid villain, but she doesn't appear till way later. So, but yeah.
But I hear good stuff about Kira Major. So
same.
Yeah, she's an excellent villain, by the way.
Is there anything else that anybody wants to bring up about this episode?
No.
Can we just say how cool the some of the generals look? In my personal opinion, even though like they didn't really give us much, they at least showed us enough what they could potentially do later on in the future.
Yeah,
I think the best scene is when the 4 leaders come out of jail and start retaking their throne room.
Yeah,
that was badass.
Yeah,
especially Rita and her line of "Death penalty to you. I will not falter on it," since he bangs her sword.
Yeah, that was cool.
We get a close up of her. That was kind of chilling, you know.
Yes.
Hi, we don't have to do the Ice Kingdom.
You're so funny.
We don't have to do character rankings. We'll probably do let's do that. Like since we're doing this new format, we could update them every 10 episodes. I think that's appropriate.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Or whenever something major happens where we're like, dang, this character really stood out here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this episode is mostly just a setup for like the next big arc, which is fine. Yeah. I mean, you don't it's good that they dedicate a whole episode because they got half the season left. So it's okay to use just one episode to set everything up.
Can we just say I'm so glad that Gira actually grew up in these past 2 years, because while yes, he still somewhat refers himself as a tyrant king per se, he doesn't do the whole goofy laugh thing. He kind of like takes it more serious now.
I hope we never hear that stupid laugh the rest of the season.
I really hope not, because there's no time for all that joking stuff. Like this is Endgame. We need people to be serious now.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you're not fighting against just charming Loki anymore. Like you're fighting against someone on Thanos' level now at this point. So
it's an Avengers level threat. So I need you to take this Avengers level threat as serious as you can.
Yeah, I need to scale this up a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think
go ahead, Riz.
I think one thing about King-Ohger I like is that they do these kind of setup episodes, but it honestly doesn't feel like filler, even though so many other Sentais do it like that, because they have such an intricate story here. And even looking back on like the previous Harmony episodes, I've only counted like one episode of real filler in the entirety of this thing.
And even then, that has some plot.
And even that was plot, yeah.
Yeah, it felt more like a cool down episode than filler. But
kind of breathe.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think these guys know what the heck they're doing, and I am really excited for like part 2 of this thing.
Yep.
Now, one thing that's been kind of popping up a little bit on Twitter, not a whole lot, but I've read at least one person on Twitter say they think this is the beginning of where we might start getting a continuity of characters going beyond the season. Like maybe the King-Ohger team is around for another set of threats in the next Sentai, and they're hoping for that.
You mean them picking up what Power Rangers started doing, where they established like a loose continuity?
Yeah.
I think it's about time Sentai would embrace that.
Yeah.
I think, well, okay, especially with the rumors of Power Rangers going away.
Yeah.
I think this is a good time for them to experiment and try that format.
Yeah.
So, I mean, having Kyoryu Red be assumedly the first veteran ranger in Sentai history to come back and be a full-time player in a Sentai outside of his own is a step in that direction.
Yeah, and I mean, we'd probably get a lot of the other well-known Sentai from the at least in a more recent era. I wouldn't expect like pre-Go Kaiser to really appear a lot, but definitely I would see like Kira Mazer, Zen Kaiser, Dawn Brothers have like cameo episodes or something if they were to bring about this shared continuity somehow. Because I mean, I'm not gonna get ahead of myself here, but there's potential in this writing for them to say that this Bug Space Empire thing kind of is responsible for more of the Sentai conflicts over the years from behind the scenes, because this guy is way too powerful.
It's very possible that they could tie into that.
Yeah, like that would be crazy awesome if they could do it.
And that would probably, like, I remember, I don't know if this was when Zen Kaiser was coming out or when Dawn Brothers was coming out, but there was a Sentai YouTuber that I follow. He doesn't really post much anymore, but his name is Tokyo Writer Go. He was making a video speculating. Yeah, he was making a video speculating about if Sentai was going to be canceled anytime soon, and he apparently linked to a tweet that said that like Sentai is going to be on at least for a few more years because they want to experiment with some stuff regarding Sentai. Maybe they are going to try to experiment with like something akin to like the Zordon era of Power Rangers, where like the teams are connected.
If you look back at the last 3 years of Sentai, starting with Zen Kaiser, Toei's been trying a lot of weird stuff. Like they tried Zen Kaiser, where they had Zord-like people, robots, I guess, and then, I mean, Dawn Brothers, their suits are so goofy.
Yeah,
I mean, you had somebody on stilts, and then you had a Sonic character.
Yeah, so they had that going for them in Dawn Brothers, and now we got King-Ohger, which they're not experimenting with anything like controversial, unless you count
not having it
written story.
Well, it's not being taken place on Earth, which is the first Sentai that's never been on Earth.
That's not true.
It's not?
I thought somebody pre-Zero Ranger stuff did that. Like,
no, there were some alien teams pre-Zoo Ranger, but I think they all took place on Earth in some
capacity. All take place on Earth.
Really? Yeah. I thought there was one where like royalty from another planet had to fight on their own planet or something.
If you're talking about Flashman, then
maybe.
No, Flashman, they're kids that were abducted by aliens and were raised on other planets, but then they come to Earth and they fight on Earth.
Okay, so it's more of a Go Kaiser type of story where they all are. Okay.
Which, by the way, I mean, I've seen Flashman. That's a great Sentai, and we're taking a look at it on this podcast, but that's beside the point.
Cool. But yeah, so that's a first.
That's
Yeah.
a very interesting thing. But
I mean, this is like if Mighty Morphin Alien Rangers was like a full 50 episode series, but it revolved only around the Alien Rangers fighting on Aquitar.
yeah. Which I still want to see.
I would love to
Yeah.
see that.
Yeah, 100%.
I also want to see the Triforian Rangers in action.
Yeah. But what would we each of us give this episode out of 10 for King-Ohger?
I'm gonna give it an 8.
I'm gonna give it an 8 as well.
I'm gonna give it an 8.
Yeah. Okay, then it's 8 all around the board. I'm giving it an 8 too. Any closing thoughts you guys want to give?
I need more
for next time.
What was that?
Oh, I was gonna say I need more.
And Riz?
Stay tuned for next time.
Yeah. All right. Well, that concludes this quick review of King-Ohger. This is going to be our new format. We're going to be doing quick ones for 28 and 29, which have just recently come out, and we're going to do this once a week, so you can look forward to that. We will be doing this all the way up until King-Ohger ends, although I really don't want it to end.
Either.
But anyway, we thank you guys so much for checking this out. Our next couple of bigger podcasts where Riz, Anthony, and I are going to be doing seasons 1 and 2 of the Power Rangers, the audio drama, which is produced by, I think his name is Carl Dutton.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing those. Then we're going to get back to our Sentai proper podcast. We're going to be doing Mirai Sentai Time Ranger. All 4 of us are going to be on for that. We hope you guys will check that out. We will see you guys next time. We thank you all for taking the time to listen to us. If you're watching this on YouTube, comment down below with your thoughts on King-Ohger. You like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel if we're not already subscribed. If you listen to us on Spotify and iTunes, we thank you guys for checking us out. And you can leave us commentary at animesecrets.org. We will see you guys next time when we take a look at our next King-Ohger episode. But until that time, you guys stay safe. We love you. May the power protect you.